This is a memory of growing up in Clifton, but my life started in Patterson. I was born in St. Joseph's Hospital, where my mother had gone to nursing school and where she worked for a few years. But as you can see from the picture, I did not start my life alone. I had a twin. We were identical twins, but we did not know that until maybe last year. They did not have genetic tests, and with two placentas, we were identified as not identical. Seems ridiculous now. We lived in an apartment in Patterson on Jackson Street, now a really run-down area of town. I have no memory of living there. My life, as I remember it, began in our small house in McCosh Rd in Clifton, New Jersey. We lived near Montclair State College, then a teacher's college. Our neighbors included a number of college professors. I still remember Mr. Vernacchia, who was an art professor. Next to him was Mr. Costigan. Mr. Costigan was a lawyer. He worked at Ray Bestis Manhattan. I remember the Richardsons, a retired couple. They were replaced by the Goddards, who were soon replaced by the Royers. They had a little boy, Stevie, and my sister babysat Stevie. On the other side of our house, there was Agnes Blaine, who lived in a wheelchair. She was paralyzed from childhood. And then there were the Millers. Mr. Miller was a saint. Mrs. Miller was a witch. Then there was Dr. Gawley and Mrs. Gawley. He was a chemistry professor. Across the street, there were the Curtins, and they were replaced by the Perkos. There were the Henschels, and down from them, the Morances. We can see the Angolf's house in the background of this picture. Jay Angolf was my age. Naomi was a year younger. We were in the house all the time. Mr. and Mrs. Angolf were both librarians, I think, but Alan also wrote a biography at one point. At some point when I was maybe 9 years old, I got into a fight with Jay. I don't know what it was about. I was much taller, and neither of us hit very hard, but I kept on calling him chicken, and he kept on fighting. It was a ridiculous affair. He eventually retreated into the house. It was not a proud moment for me. The McCosh Rd of the 50s and 60s seems idyllic, at least to the mists of time. It even may have a golden glow on it now. Women stayed at home to raise kids. A few of them did return to work. My mother did when I started high school. Mrs. Angolf went back to work as a high school librarian. We had larger families then, some with 5 or 6. One had a family more than twice that size. A lot of the things that we thought of as normal then have disappeared. We had milkmen. Yes, men delivered the milk to the house up to the 60s. We had a bread man for a while, delivered bread and cakes. We had paper boys. There were lots of kids around, and there seemed to be mothers in the background, at least if something really bad happened. But we were also left alone. Compared to the current day, we were let free run, but we also managed to come home at dinner time. You would hear mothers calling at different times for their kids to come home for dinner. And as to the culture, TV was new in the 50s, and at first it was only in large cities. By the mid-50s, it was in most places, though I did visit Idaho in 1975 near Twin Falls, and they had only one station at the time, and it showed the best of the 3 networks. The TV was saccharine, so we had shows like Father Knows Best and Leave It to Beaver. Yes, they really existed, and we really watched them. And we watched TV as a family. We had one TV at first, then eventually 2 TVs, but still it was broadcast, so we were always playing with the antenna. If you had an older brother or sister, they would have been playing 45 RPM records with the new rock and roll. In those days, This was still a time when the average worker could get a job that paid enough to allow him to feed his family and house them, even send a kid to college. I went to Pope Pius High School in Passaic, New Jersey, and on my Saturdays I went to the Saturday Junior Art School in Newark. And I was a serious student, so I was mostly stuck in my house doing homework or making art. We all travel on a journey of some sort to adulthood and separate from our homes, separate from our parents. And even though I visited McCosh Rd until my mother died in 2003, never lived in Clifton again. So we close with that, and we'll share a few more pictures, which are really just tidbits, odds and ends, of my little Clifton journey.